Well, we are still coming off of some insane volatility this week. Was able to have some really fun and interesting chats in the stream this morning. Took one trade as well. We're going to recap all of that right now. I'm trading my 20 50k funded accounts with Apex. You can use code TBM to get 80% off on all of those accounts, as well as 1 day to pass, which means you can pass the evaluation in 1 day, or you can take longer. So let's go and dive into the stream recap from today's trading session. Yo, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's hump day. Hoping you're having a good day so far. Hopefully yesterday was chill for you. I did not watch any of the price action. Right after the stream, I grabbed an immediate 10-pointer. It was like literally like, I kid you not, I had a limit order in. I got filled, and it got filled in 2 seconds after, 1 second after. It was nuts. And I was like, on that note, I'm out of here. So I have no idea what we did the rest of the day. We're going to find out together. But it looks like we're up 1.5% right now. It's kind of been the theme this week, honestly. We had like massive down day on Sunday night. And then after Sunday night, everything, the theme has just been rip your face off, essentially. News-wise, we've got crude oil inventories at 9:30 if you're a crude oil trader. If you're not a crude oil trader, then you got notes. Noon. That's it. Notes at noon. That's it. The general theme, markets are open. General theme for me is to wait the first 15 minutes on a normal day. Given the amount of volatility that we've been having the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to be a little bit more patient as of like last week. Sometimes waiting the first hour for a trade setup that I truly love called the initial balance trade. Exclamation point IB if you are brand new and you've never seen the initial balance trade. There's an example of it there. It's one of my favorite setups to take, and being patient for it is typically rewarded in some capacity. But if I see like a good wick test or some other thing that falls into my, trading arsenal, I'll take it, but not before the first 15 minutes. I'm always watching price action the first 15 minutes. It's not a rule with Apex or any prop firm. It's a personal rule. And it was derived from the fact that I was tired of participating in some of this crazy chop, trying to catch a momentum play right off the open, and then either getting like a really, really good day or getting hosed. And whenever I would get hosed, a lot of volume right at the top. Whenever I'd get hosed right off the open, it would always leave myself being like, why the heck did I just do that? I have like 8 hours left in the day. And I just, ran out of bullets right then, that early, when there's a ton of other good opportunities later in the day that I can be patient for. So nowadays, I just like to be patient and wait for everything. The motto is to be patient and to take base hits if you're new. What that means is not looking for massive trades, not looking for home run trades, these massive trades, looking for what I like to call base hits. For me, given the current volatility, it's really more like 20, 30 points. It's like really, truly a base hit given the current volatility. But for me, it's still 10 to 15 points. And a couple of those add up. I am copy trading 20 of the 50k Apex funded accounts. I use the 50k because of the target to drawdown ratio in the evaluation. I like that. It also is a good amount of money that I can take out every month. If I'm maxing payouts out, which I've not maxed payouts out recently, last month or whatever, but maxing payouts out is 40,000 a payout period, so that happens 2 times a month. So the max you can take out the first 3 months on these 50k accounts is 80 grand a month, which I was doing for the first half of the year, basically first quarter of the year, and it's lit. Well done, chat. Well done. All right, you ready for a dad joke? August 7th, Wednesday, August 7th, dad joke of the day. Why do golfers hate cake? Because they might get a slice. That one was subpar. Wow. Good job, Alex. That was a subpar joke. That's funny. Explain, please. Slice in golf is like when your ball just shoots off to the side. Oh, the old swing and a miss. Matt, was there a turning point to help you concentrate on base hits? Thanks. It was really just like I always knew it. Even like if I had like my problem is to this day, if I have like a 50-point winner, I start to look for that more. Like, why do I do that? Why not just do what I'm consistent with, that the data shows that I do well with, And then it was just it's been more of a conscious decision of base hits. That's why I tell myself it all the time. Be patient, take base hits. The conscious decision helps me stay away from looking for those big plays. The big plays just, they might work every once in a while for me. Have a big banger of a trade, but the problem is that I start getting used to that, and then I want it more and more and more and more. Mostly blowing evals due to drawdown, then I learned base hits. That was another thing that also solidified it for me. Absolutely. Was switching over to Apex, and it rewards base hits big time for several different reasons. One, the trailing drawdown while you're in the evaluation, it rewards base hits, right? To keep that equity at the equity curve high. Not to mention also like the 30% rule, consistency, right, is rewarded by base hits because you're able to keep an eye on it. There's more stress with longer trades too, at least for me. Sitting in a trade is crazy. I end up overanalyzing and pulling it off early anyway. Yeah, that's a whole nother, other side of the coin is the emotional. I call it emotional capital. I think probably a lot of people call it emotional capital, but emotional capital is something that I really started like honing in on, man, probably 3 years ago at this point. Probably, yeah, 3 to 4 years ago at this point. And it's this idea that like we start with a full tank every morning, right? Ideally, in a perfect world, you're starting with a full tank. Sometimes we don't start with a full tank. Maybe you had a terrible night of sleep, or you got a bad work email at the start of the day that you like checked right before trading or something, and all of a sudden your emotions are already slightly depleted. And as you trade the rest of the day, your emotional capital slowly gets drained, right? Your full tank slowly goes down, down, down. And whenever I'm in a trade that I'm having to hyper focus on, hyper analyze, trying to withstand the pullbacks and the rises and the pullbacks and the rises in order to catch a big winner, that emotional capital drains a lot faster for me personally. It might not for everybody, but for me it does. And there comes a point where your emotional capital is so drained that you just start making stupid decisions. You start getting more tilted or tilted faster. You start having no patience. You start whatever it is, sizing up when you shouldn't size up, whatever it is. You just slowly back off of what you know to be true and good. Keeping that stress level down and keeping that emotional capital level high to be able to operate at a high level where you are in check with your inner self, which is very important with trading. If you're not in check with yourself and in tune with yourself, it becomes a lot harder. It makes something that's already hard even harder. Going for base hits really helps me keep that in check. It allows me to, have a losing trade and shrug it off because I knew I followed my strategy, right? I took a trade that I would take 10 times out of 10, right? Will it work 10 times out of 10? No, that's trading. One specific setup will not always work. Just straight up. It's just the facts, right? There is no such thing as a 100% win rate strategy. Knowing that you're going to have losing trades, if you're taking a setup that is naturally more winners than losers, though, you can come back and be okay. But if your emotional capital is drained, you start taking trades that you know you shouldn't be taking. Ones that you don't have an edge on. Ones that are hard to bounce back from because you're like, why the hell did I take that? And you start beating yourself up over it, etc. So, yeah, base hits are great. I love them, and I think that I know that the concept of base hits has helped me take out a lot of money this year, and I know that it's helped a lot of people in here take out a ton of money. So, very exciting stuff, but yeah, that's kind of the great question. That's a very long-winded answer, but there you go. Base hits with evaluations, emotional capital, and being able to replicate trades. If you haven't watched the video on passing evaluations and kind of the principle of base hits, I dropped one last week. I think it's a great video, and it goes over kind of those tips and tricks for passing Apex evaluations and getting funded and keeping a funded account. And it shows me passing 20 evaluations at once in a single day and kind of the thought processes behind those. I have several losing trades. It's not just like 3 winners and I'm done. It's like a full journey of trading. The equity curve is up and down, but it isn't like equity curves are always like this, right? You want a trajectory up and to the right, but it's always going to have little dips and things like that. And so, yeah, I would really, it's a long video. It's 36 minutes long or something like that, 30 something minutes, but I think it's worth the watch. And especially if you're interested in like kind of the prop firm world, as well as just honestly general trading with base hits. I feel like I just talked a lot. I'm green lighted to trade officially, by the way. Delta's kind of crawling up. Channel has been up, right? We've been holding the 1 standard deviation, bouncing off of the 1.5 so far on the VWAP bands. This is VWAP, volume weighted average price. We have volume histogram over here on the right. This is a 22 range chart. I use it for Delta and the VWAP bands. 22 range chart is not time based, so each candle is 5.5 points of movement. Depending on how long the time is, sometimes those candles get printed immediately, sometimes they take hours. It just requires 5.5 points of movement top to bottom. Okay, let's see if we snap it or not. Coming into volume here. This is exactly where we bounced it last time. We don't have a ton of buyers yet, but we'll see if we kind of hold it or not. So far, the 500 buy looks decent. I mean, again, it's like 5.5 points under the 1 standard deviation, bouncing out of it. Not bad. And point of control. Volume there as well. I'm excited for tomorrow's dad joke. Little Ligma kind of starting to form up here. Potentially a little Ligma with a doji up at the highs, barely missing the top. Kind of interesting. I think the cheaper trade was this first jump up here into the 50s, but still potentially worth it. It would be a 10-point stop, $200 of risk. Yeah, nice rotation off of 50. That was a cheap trade. Up at the doji, barely missing the current high of day. Made the retest of 50, giving it 10 points. Not bad. It's nice to see it play out. And that's kind of the first time I feel like in the last couple of days, at least this early in the day, where we've seen like somewhat of candle structure actually yielding a move. For current volatility, Y22 range chart, Inky's moving 5 points every second. Yeah, I'm not going to change my chart setups for a few days of craziness, to be perfectly honest. I said this on Monday, and I'll say it again. I even did an arts and crafts by Matt. I literally pulled up Microsoft Paint to help enforce my thought here. But like, literally, I'm here to trade the normality of trading, like the trading session, right? Think of it as a bell curve, right? A bell curve. We all know what a bell curve is. And you have extremes on a bell curve, right? You have downside extremes and you have upside extremes. Downside extremes in the standpoint of volatility is very slow, right? I tend to not trade very slow environments, and I don't tend to trade them well. We have then massive upside extreme volatility levels where everything is going crazy and still very challenging to trade. And also, what is it? Not the norm, right? I'm here to trade the norm, right? I'm here to trade what the market is typically doing. And I'm not going to go change my strategy or force a bunch of trades or change all of my charts and things like that for the outer band extreme of volatility that lasts, you know, a week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, right? If it becomes a true new norm, which it won't, just straight up, then, you know, I will consider opening up my 22 range chart. But until then, my eyes are so used to seeing a 22 range and how it responds with Delta. I've been looking at it for 6 years now or whatever it is. I guess late 2018. So whatever that is. Yeah, I have no desire to go change it to a bigger range where I'm having to think about, oh wait, how much is this movement now? Right now, when I look at a 22 range, I know exactly what I'm seeing every single time. Even if it's moving fast, that's cool. It's moving fast, right? But I know exactly what I'm seeing. It's been ingrained in my head. I'm not having to calculate new stuff. It's part of why I trade the same thing every day, right? I trade the Nasdaq every day so that I can figure out what the true norm is. So I can calculate in my head very quickly, you know, how much risk am I willing to have? What am I looking for? What is normal for me to look for given, you know, volatility perspectives? But like I said, and I said it earlier, that's why I didn't trade on Monday, is like the very first day in extreme volatility is not the normal thing, right? Everybody's like, well, just size down. And it's like, yeah, I could size down, right? But at the end of the day, we're still experiencing a not normal move. How do I prepare for a not normal move, right? It's not like there's a ton of like data samples out there to be backtesting on non-normal, like extreme days, right? Extreme days happen. I mean, I remember the last extreme day. We had Trump's election, I think, had an extreme night session. Then it was really boring after that. COVID was extreme. And then before that, I wasn't really trading much because it was just like chill for a long time. So if I have like 2 or 3 examples, maybe 4 examples of extreme environments, I don't feel comfortable trading that, to be perfectly honest. I feel very comfortable trading the norm. I don't really feel comfortable trading massively extreme environments that I don't know how to test appropriately. And I don't have enough reps through in order to successfully do it. But you can size down, Matt. It's like, yeah, you can, but why not just take the day off and watch the environment and see how you can trade it potentially next time when you actually have some real sample sizes? But like jumping in for the sake of jumping in just because there's volatility, it's like, yeah, the markets are moving every day. There might be a little bit more volatility today. I might size down a little bit, but there's just as much volatility and movement later, and ones that I typically capitalize on more anyways. Extreme environments come down to surviving, right? In my opinion. If I'm outside of the bell curve, right? I just keep using that because I feel like it's a pretty decent example. If I'm on the extremes of the bell curve, extremes are where accounts are typically lost very quickly, right? So on the extremes, it's about surviving. It's about being patient, waiting for things that are, you know, still a cheap trade, going back on those things that you know. And then when you're in the norm, you can execute your strategy that you know and love, right? And yeah, there's still going to be accounts lost in the norm and stuff as well, but it's a lot more predictable. Hopefully that makes sense. Dang, I feel like we've talked about a lot today. Markets have only been open for 45 minutes. We've kind of been going sideways, and I feel like we've talked about like a lot of like really important stuff today. Good stuff. Okay, maybe VWAP at 400 would be kind of interesting. We got 12 minutes till IB is set also. So right now you'll notice that IB is probably about to move around a little bit, and that's because it's within the first hour of the day. So initial balance is tracking the high and the low of the first hour. So as new lows are getting tapped until 9:30. So right now it's 9:19 until 9:30. This red line, if we have new lows, will continue to go down. Alrighty, VWAP coming in. Interesting spot with VWAP and 400 psych level and initial balance kind of getting formed. Oh, I'm totally paused out here for a second. All right, we're back. There's VWAP. I got a minute and 15 seconds till initial balance is truly set. Ooh, VWAP and initial balance being at the same spot. Have we really dealt with that much, chat? I don't think we have. Yeah, my everything is dead. Expecting price to drive further down. I don't like to expect anything, to be perfectly honest. I don't know. We'll wait and see. If price does drive further down, I prefer like a, you know, the classic if then statement. If price does drive further down, I'll look for it to crack through VWAP and initial balance high, and then close a little lower, come back up, retest it for a short entry at VWAP and initial balance low. To crack lower, come back, retest initial balance low, get short, and ride it. That being said, I mean, nice single test, nice bounce. We're coming back up into the middle of the range, and everything has been fairly choppy so far. So who knows? Just slidey. It's hard to like buy, you know, 500 or 95s there when you got to give it, you know, 10 points plus, and we're just sliding. I mean, the untested wick, low key, could kind of play. Could kind of play back up into like 500. Something like that. Could be very interesting. Probably would be more interested in this, though. Little hammer off the 80s, magical 80s. Can always get back in if that does decide to dump. I'm going to try it very quickly. I'm not going to look for the full 20 points that I was talking about earlier. $57 is fine. I am going to pull it up a little bit. I was gonna go ahead and move that break even. I'm gonna give it just a second. New lows on the candle, I'll be out. Yeah, I want to see it go from here. Off that prior open. Prior open, retest and go. And then break the little short-term prior high at 81. Not doing it. kind of slowing down a little bit. Probably get stopped out here. Stopped out. Minus 230. 11 points. Or yeah, 11 and a half points. Stopped out. I took it off the untested wick. I was fine with it retrading 57s, but a retest of 57 I think is not good. Ran up what, 5 points in the money or something. Still a fairly cheap trade. We're still just wiggling around a lot. Any other trades I take today will be off of IB most likely. Gave it the one try in the middle of the range, and that's about it for me.